Get ready for the ultimate journey of transformation and growth. Welcome to Season 2 of the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, alongside a dynamic team of co-hosts, Pastor Clive Atkinson, Bishop Hopeton Morris, and Elder Edmund Muir. Together, we'll dive into the toughest topics, share inspiring stories, and provide practical advice to help you become the best version of yourself. From overcoming obstacles to achieving greatness, the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast is your ultimate source of motivation, inspiration, and empowerment. So gear up and join the movement. Tune in to Season 2 of the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. This and every Saturday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on HGG Radio. The Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We're not just talk, we're informative. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, right here on HGG Radio. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are here to rejoice and to be glad in it. Of course, thanking God for yet another day. Of course, another day on top of our grave. The mothers always say it is a great day, a day on top of our grave, and we're so delighted that you're here with us yet another morning to give God praise, to give him honor, and to give him glory. We have yet another exciting program lined up for you right here on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We have a great show. We're talking about the decline of the next generation's involvement in the church. And so this morning, I'm your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, and alongside me, an incredible team. This morning, we have Bishop Hopeton Morris that will be on the program. And of course, we have a very special guest that is joining us on the program. One of our guests, of course, unfortunately, is no longer able to join based on reason stuff that arise beyond our control. But of course, nevertheless, we're going to have the show. We're going to have a good time. Today, we're diving into a critical conversation that is shaking the foundation of many congregations around the world. The decline of the next generation's involvement in the church. We have seen it as youth, but before I go, let me say good morning. Let me bring Bishop Hopeton Morris in. Good morning, Bishop. You are live. How are you, sir? Unmute and come in, sir.
Yes.
So we're able to
Good
hear you.
morning. Good morning. Yes, I'm doing very well, sir. I'm doing very well. I'm next door you, basically, but you're far away.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But it's good. A little bit chilly over here. But
Yes.
otherwise, I'm good. Wonderful. To be
Awesome.
in Ontario this morning. God
Yes.
bless.
Good. God bless you. God bless you. While you are in Ontario having some chilly weather, I am in hot Atlanta. It's nice and cool down here, but not as chilly. Here for True Witness anniversary service. So those who are in Atlanta here, Lithonia, Georgia, and its surround, come on over and let us have church on tonight for True Witness 22nd year of anniversary service. And so I'm telling you, we are truly having a wonderful time. Start last night and we'll go until Sunday night. So while we're diving in, before we bring in our very special guest, we are talking about the decline of the next generation. Of course, she is here to lend some from her lens, shed some light on it. And so I'm going to bring in my very good friend, Lady Tamika Anderson, and of course, a youth advocate, love of the youth and always looking out, a youth advocate and mentor. So much, she often said, I have about 12 children. And so I'm so glad that she is here on this morning. Good morning, Tamika. Welcome to the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. Good morning. Can you hear me, Tamika?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Can you hear me?
Awesome. I
Good
can. I
morning,
can.
everybody.
A little
Good
louder is
morning,
good.
Iron. Are you hearing me better?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Iron Man podcast, and to the
Yes.
team.
Good
Good
morning.
morning from warm Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica.
Is it warm or
Yes.
is it hot down there?
Well, it's 9:12 a.m. here, so the, heat has not yet picked up.
All right, got you.
Oh, I'm telling you. So thank you so much for being here with us. And I know you have quite a bit to shed on it, but let me set it up and we'll dive right into the conversation. All right, so we'll set it up and go right in. And so we have seen the decline of the next generation involvement. We've seen it in the pews. Youth and young adults alike, who once filled the pew, are drifting away, searching for answers and authenticity outside of the church wall. What happened? Why are so many young people disconnecting from the faith community that was once shaped their parents, shaped their grandparents, shaped their lives? And most importantly, what can we as leaders, mentors, and believers do to bridge the gap? This is not just about church attendance. It's about the future of faith, of the faith, the discipleship, and the legacy. Today, we're going to unpack the reason behind the decline, explore the challenges, and the questions that our youth are facing, and discuss practical spirit-led strategies to re-engage and empower the next generation. So, I want you to stay here with us, and in fact, I want you to just send a message out, send a blast out to all your friends, your contact, your community, your list, and tell them to join us here on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast for this important discussion. I want to say good morning to all our listeners near and far that has joined us on the program. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we always say meet us here or beat us here. And I'm telling Kathleen Andrews, you really beat us here this morning. So thank you so much for being here. Jacqueline Brown over there in Florida, thank you so much. Lady Mahela Emmons, my darling auntie down there in Jamaica, sending good mornings and giving God thanks for mercies endured forever. Jocelyn Richards, good morning. Thank you for being here. And of course, Delmore Buckle, good to have you on. Lady Delmore, thanks for being on. Brooklyn Tabernacle family, in fact, rather, Tabernacle of Love family in Brooklyn, New York is on. Lady Stacy, and good morning and thank you so much. Sending greetings to the panelists this morning. And of course, Elvira, many blessings on you. She said, happy Saturday. Dr. Brian, illustrious team, and all God's wonderful children. Thank you so much for those who have chimed already on and is chiming in. So send it to everybody and tell them the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We are on, we are live, and we are kicking. So let's jump right into it, Bishop. We're going to dive into it. Last week we start off last week and we talk about well, this very same topic, but we want to do a part two. And I mean, once it was finished, I was getting the messages, Doc, we need a part two, we need this discussion as a part two. So here we are, and we are bringing part two to you, and we are bringing on different voices, those who are working in the youth space, those are youth themselves, and also working with young people to get that first-hand experience and those challenges. And so of course, Lady Tamika, you are here this morning to talk to us. And of course, youth will be sharing with you their different challenges that is happening. From your perspective, what are the changes that you're observing in the involvement of young people in the church over, let's say, the last 5 to 10 years, and especially thereafter the COVID pandemic? Talk to us along those lines.
Okay. Once again, good morning. Well, this is a heavy topic, but as I was musing on it last night, I I think to myself that, well, I'm reminded of a proverb, a Jamaican proverb that would have been taught by our foreparents. The proverb says, it's not the first time that a leaf falls to the bottom of a river that it starts to rot. Now, we're discussing the decline of the next generation, but there has been intergenerational issues in the church from way back when. I remember as a teen coming up in the apostolic faith, born and raised to a ministry family. We used to have these discussions about generational gap and the need for that the conversation between the youths and the older generation, because there's always been misconception, misunderstanding between both groups. So I remember in the mid 90s, we started to sense the antagonism and the tug of war between the youths and the adults. I remember there was a joke amongst young people. They were told that the adults fear that the young people are going to destroy the church, right? Because our views, our approach was different from theirs. We're questioning things. It was no longer just go and fast and pray as the answer for the questions. We wanted more. So that restiveness amongst youth started from way back when, from like the mid 90s. Now, so this generational gap, I think what has happened is that it has widened with the younger generation that are even more vocal, more inquisitive than us. Yes, we were bold. We did start, the shift started with us stepping up, asking the tough questions, demanding accountability of leaders from way back then. Some leaders found it a little bit much. They were afraid of it. They couldn't understand it. Some maybe sternly and fiercely tried to suppress and to control it. Others tried to go and learn and read and come back and engage with the young people. I know my former bishop, he did try to have those conversations because he realized that if he did not engage with the younger generation, being the future leaders, the future of the church, then there's going to be problems. So I would say it started from way back then, right? That tendency to question and wanting answers and challenging certain paradigms, certain doctrinal principles, and so forth. Now I believe that COVID was a watershed period. It just blew everything open. I recall being in an online Bible study group with bishops, leaders, representatives from the older generation of apostolics, and I invited some young people who had a lot of questions. Because one positive about COVID is that being in isolation and not being able to meet physically in the space, it forced a lot of people back into their Bible. So a lot of young people started diving more into scriptures, dissecting doctrinal teachings. What they wanted was biblical justification for some of what the rules and so forth that would have governed our faith for all these years, right? These decades. And in that moment, I visually saw, I saw before me unraveling a blow up, like a clash, an intergenerational clash, with the young people coming with fierce, with strong questions, plausible questions, reasonable questions. Some of the biblical scholars who we looked up to and we admired, some did try to engage and respond to the questions. I noticed it was the I think this would be the generation, the would it be the Gen X? Those who were born in 70s and 1970s, that group. Those leaders try to engage the younger set. The older ones were very quiet. And those that were more aligned to maybe the baby boomers, um, they were more on the defensive. I think it was fear because never before did they see this open challenge. These type of questions that were considered to be a challenge. Some thought it was some form of apostasy or heresy, maybe a bit rebellious, rambunctious. These questions, again, just a misunderstanding and a fear. But unfortunately, the young people were not able to get the answers that they were looking for. They weren't able to. It became very emotional. They received an emotional response, a shutdown. Don't ask these questions. It's a bit too much. Rather than going into the scriptures, highlighting what are the texts that justify this doctrinal belief or this doctrinal principle, and it was not resolved. Unfortunately, the young people ended up pulling out of the group and trying to form a different group to really dissect and dig into the scriptures to provide that justification. And it's understandable because the generation coming after us, which is the Gen Zs, because I'm from the millennial, what they call the millennial generation, right?
Mhm.
The Gen Zs and then the Alpha are worse. And I've always said to the leaders, and I appealed, if we don't try to meet these young people at the table, sit down, listen to their questions, we're going to have a catastrophe of
Yes.
unprecedented proportion, right? We can't ignore them anymore. We have to be the one to control the narrative. If not, they're going to go and they're going to seek answers from other sources which will not be accurate. So instead of being afraid, burying the head in the sand, it's best to just meet them head on. Yes, it might seem like they're being confrontational. It's a bit maybe too assertive or aggressive, which maybe I don't think it is. It's just that the questions are direct. You know,
Mhm.
the Gen Zs are very direct. You can't play around with them. You have to answer the question, and they want you to provide the evidence because this is how they're trained in college. You have to provide scientific, like justification, scientific way of thinking. Provide the proof, provide the
Our
justification.
biblical explanation.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So in the context of the church now, it would be biblical explanation.
Hmm.
Give that exegesis, line upon line, precept upon precept, go into the scriptures, provide explanation. It cannot be about emotions or culture, right? It has to be now based on scripture. So so my experience in this Bible study group just helped me to realize that there is a shift. A shift has taken place. It's blown up now. It was there subliminally under the quiet happening, but with the Gen Zs who are more direct, it just blew up.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, that is really, really powerful. Last week we started the conversation, and I was saying the same thing, in that the generation that we are dealing with now is different from the generation before. That pastor will say something, and just because pastor say this is what it is, we don't question it. We're told not to ask any question, leave it alone. This is what the man of God is saying. But this generation of intellects that are coming, you can't just force something down their throat. And of course, I love how you take it from the theoretical aspect of it, or tertiary aspect of it, from school, and how we think in school, and how you're trained to think, and to ask questions, and to look at the science, and to look at the theory behind it. And so when we move it into church, we are now looking at it from a doctrinal perspective. How does it align biblically? And the questions are asked. This generation need the answers because it's the way they think, they want to know it. And so you find that there is either decline of folks said, I'm not going to church, or they're moving to church to leaders that they think young leaders, or persons who they believe can answer the question, even mid-age or older leaders that they believe are not afraid to answer the question, to face it on. And we're saying to leader, it's okay to say, I don't have all the answers, but I can have a look at it, and I'll look at it this way, and I'm going to come back to you. Nothing is wrong, because all of us don't always have all the answers. Even in our job that we do, we don't always know the answer immediately. There are times when we need to go and to do our research and understand it, even though you work in the field. It may be cases medical. There are doctors who have never gotten certain cases before, and they have to go back and to research it in order to solve it. Bishop, I'm going to bring you in, sir, for your opening, and to add based on what Tamika said, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into the discussion. So, Bishop, I bring you in here, sir.
All right, thank you very much. And greetings to each and every one that are listening and watching this morning. I hope you do share, because I think this is definitely a discussion that we need to have. When I was growing up in church, once the pastor and the bishop say something, as you said, we just take it.
Hmm.
Um, and even if we don't believe it, even if we don't see the reason, we just don't question it. We just do it. For example, as growing up as a young man in church, we decided we're going to play soccer, and the bishop said no shots, and
Yes.
Jamaica hot like fire. So here we now have to be playing soccer in in a sweatpants.
Sweatpants.
Yes,
Yes.
and Jamaica hot,
Yes,
and
sir.
and everybody just we just follow. We didn't fight it. We didn't do anything. We just follow. Um, One of the reasons why sometimes we those pastors and bishops, we were afraid to ask them questions,
Mm.
because they would shut you down immediately in anger, right? So you were being bullied.
Mm. To have a question.
Sometimes, yeah, we were bullied sometimes, if you really want to speak the truth. Um, and sometimes when they put down laws, is they didn't put it down through teaching, they put it down through like an anger spirit, like this is what we're going to do, and that's it, and you dare not. And if you ever try to do something else, you are you know, you are the bad sheep, and
Mm-hmm.
so on. So we just follow, and everybody will tell you, unity is strength. And if you're disobedient, you go into hell because you don't follow their stuff. So we were so afraid of anything like that. But coming to this generation is bold. This generation is not afraid to ask you why you do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out it's not that they're disobedient. They just wanted to know the reason why, because others are also asking them questions, and they need to have the answer to those questions. And it's very important that we talk to them logically. Very important that we tell them the truth. And if it's culture, just say it's culture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some would even take it based on the fact that, okay, that's your culture. Okay, that's fine. Now I know the reason why you do it. Um, Instead of trying to find scriptures that doesn't add up or make sense, or we take it out of context,
Mm.
right?
Powerful, Bishop.
Um, and that's a lot of things that we do. We don't make a law rule and make a find a scripture that says something about it, and leave it there. And
Yes.
this generation is so bright. Um, when we were growing up, we didn't have Google. We couldn't do certain studies. We want to find out something, we have to go to the library and sit down and get the books and actually read, or the encyclopedia was the in thing in those days,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they have learning at their fingertip, and they will tell you, right? So therefore, I'm I your topic is about young people not it's kind
Yeah,
of
the
drifting
decline.
away from
Yes, the
decline from the church
decline.
in a
Yeah, of
way.
their
Yeah,
involvement.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
their involvement, right? And I think it's really because they are not being heard,
Mm.
right? They're not being heard. I think that's one of the reasons why. One of the things that is very important is that we have to break it up in a way, in that in our committees and stuff like that, we got to put young people in them. A little bit
Powerful.
of young, a little bit of old, just like a team, a growing team, a successful team will have both old and young in it, where the young can learn from the old, right?
Yeah.
And it's at that time, with that mixture, that so these young people will not feel isolated, because they wanted to look and see that there are other young people who are part of certain groups and certain things, so they can say, okay, so that their voice can be heard,
Mm.
right? So that person represents their voice, right? So yeah, so that's where I will leave it for now, sir. Thank you.
Yes, that is so powerful, Bishop. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Because a lot of time we run away from the truth of what it is. The generation has changed, things have shifted, and I believe this is why a lot of people, the involvement. We're seeing the decline in involvement. People are backing out because they feel like their voice, as Bishop said, they don't feel like they're heard and they don't feel like their voice matter. And if you surround yourself, or if you take the voice away from people who have something to say, then you'll end up surround yourself with people who have nothing to say. And they'll have nothing to say simply because they believe nothing. There's nothing that I say that will matter. There's one pastor I served under for years, and I said to him, I said, there's never a single advice that I've given you that you have ever take and you have ever actualized, because I've given to him powerful way as how we can grow the church and how we can lead. And these advisors shut down. I wait 2 3 years, give a trusted voice, somebody that he love and respect and trust, and gave them the same script, everything. I wrote out the entire plan end to end, and the person presented and he said, this is a wonderful plan, I think this is great, but he told me that's a plan that I think will not work. So we cannot isolate people. So I recognize that it's my voice and it's me that you don't trust because of what person say. We see people in the church as a threat rather than seeing how they can add to it. And so if you see me as a threat, there's nothing that I say and a way that we can help to grow, you will take, because you don't want to say, he gave me this idea or this idea, grow it. So somebody else, you take the very same thing and said, this is wonderful. The same thing I gave you 2 years ago. I just presented to somebody else and said, present it to him. And so when you do this now, folks start to isolate and believe what's the reason being I am here? Because there's nothing that I say. Um, and so, as somebody said, the problem was me. So the problem was not the idea, but the problem was me because, of course, what you said. And so we see where this even start to shrink. And so even being there, and from my experience, I start to feel so small to the point that I lost me. At one point, I'm searching who I am. I'm searching for the real me because I've played so small for a long time to to not make him feel that I'm stepping on toes. And I played so small to not make him feel like I'm a threat, or to try to show that I'm not a threat and I'm not here for any ulterior motive, until I start to lose who I am at my core. And that's when I realize I am no longer welcome. And you have to know when it's time to make the transition. And this doesn't mean backsliding. This don't mean leave the church and just not go anywhere. This means seeking God in finding a place that you can serve for the greater good of the church and for the advancement of the gospel. And that's when I decided it's time to make that move and make that shift. Well, we're back to the decline in the next generation. Tammy can bring it in, but I like to share personal testimonies, because a lot of time when people can hold on to something, they understand better when it's more relatable. Tamika, we look at church, and why you think, and I wanna ask a question. Do you think, from your perspective, and I'm sure you have had personal experience and have been in church, a church baby, grew up, but do you think that the church has in some way failed to meet the need of this generation? The leadership of the church. Because when we talk about the church, please don't spiritualize. We understand the church is the ecclesia, we
Yes.
understand. But when we talk about the church in this context, we are talking about we, the gathering, the assembly of ourselves. Do you think, and the leadership of the church, the members of the church, because let us not put leaders only, because not leaders alone really push a church. The Bible says, let the older teach the younger, and all of that. So
Younger.
we're putting everybody in it, the ones who have more experience than the younger ones coming in. Do you believe, as the mixture, in some way the church we have failed to meet the needs of this generation?
I would say that the church
And we say in
has
some ways.
failed has failed in its efforts to try and understand the younger generation. There's there always there was always this type of mystery, this misunderstanding and mistrust between the generations. The youth didn't trust the older ones, again, because they felt that the adults were not uh, being forthcoming with information and just answering questions. And then there was a distrust on the part of the adults, where there's just this fear that the power difference, that the respect is going to be eroded once they start trying to engage with them and answer the questions. So in an effort to maintain that respect, maintain that, as I said, the power difference, they remain on their side of the chasm, and the young people are at on the opposite end, right? So this gap that I kept mentioning, and because of this failure to at least try and engage, um, it has caused it has helped to feed a problem, because, as I said, it didn't start just overnight. I think COVID just helped to blow it up and highlight it a little bit.
Mhm.
But I think the failure um, from the church is just to try and understand, remove the fear, just sit down and engage with the young people, listen to them, not assume that they're going to take you down a certain road, that they're gonna start to become disrespectful, and that you're just seeking an excuse to rebel and to backslide and all of that. But just come to them with a blank slate. Come to the table to hear. If there was greater effort there, then we wouldn't have this problem now, where the young people just give up. They no longer trust church. They're pulling away and they're going to other sources that seemingly are providing them with the answers and the space to be themselves, because there was also an identity crisis that was brewing as well. Because in the when the different parenting style, different leadership style from the old, children are seen and not heard. You just sit down and come to church and you don't speak. If you speak, you're considered to be rebellious and a little bit too big for your bridges, right? That has shifted, but many more mature folks, I would say mature in terms of age, in the church who still embrace this type of thinking. It's causing a disruption in the communication flow. And because everyone is maintaining their red line, yes, some young people try to just accept what it is for the sake of peace and obedience and going to heaven, but some will not. They will continue to press and press. And some adults, they're not going to move from their red line. That you're young people, you should just accept what we say, even if you don't understand. So everyone is, both sides maintaining the battle lines, and the gap is here. It's getting wider and wider, and the young people get more and more marginalized as new sources of entertainment or distractions pop up. Social media, digital technology, frontier technology. I saw a comment in the chat as well. Even the workforce, they're very bold.
Yes.
If they're not getting what they want, they're gone.
Yes.
So we cannot sit now and say, okay, they're rebellious. We're just not going to try and engage. We're going to have to try. Also, going to um, face a situation like many countries are experiencing, like an aging population, where the young people will just gradually just pull out. And where will you find them when they're not in the sanctuary? You have to find them where they are, which is social media, the Instagram. They're online. And unfortunately, this shift to during COVID, shift to online worship, it's just heaven to many young people. They're gonna stay home and watch online, or they engage online. That is where they are. Many adults are still in the sanctuary. They're still, tactile, using books and all of that. Still back then, they're not trying to catch up, because we have to catch up. It makes no sense to sit down and say, "Oh, they're gonna have to listen," and it's how what we say is right, and this is how it goes. The world, everything is evolving. We're going. We have to catch up. If not, we're gonna face a situation where it's just baby boomers. It's going to the church, going to look like a retirement home, if not for the grace of God. So I would say the failure is just not trying to understand and to learn the generation, move with the times, learn about the places where they are frequently, social media and all of that. Understand the shift, the generational shift and the shift in thinking. These were the generation. This is the generation now who sent their children to university. They sent them to get a better life and to learn and to get a good career. This is what teaching and learning has done to them. They have been trained to be investigative in their mind, not to accept things at face value, to search out things, to interrogate things. So this is a product of the adults, of the parents' ambition. They want brilliant, educated, successful young people, but it's gonna spill into the spiritual as well, into the church. They're gonna take the same type of approach in terms of thinking, to investigate and to interrogate. It's now time for them to catch up and interact with a generation that they helped to create by their decision to pay for them to go to university or to encourage them. That's just what I think. That's
Yeah.
my hope, my humble
Powerful.
opinion.
Thank you for that. And rightfully so. Rightfully so it should be, because every parent want to make sure that the next generation or your children coming after do better than you. And there's a big shift. And what I'm hearing is that what leaders have to do is to sit at the table, to listen and to be open to understand what they're dealing with. Because I mean, some of the influences that persons before, generation before, didn't have to deal with.
Yes,
This
that's true.
generation is dealing with it. You know,
Yes,
some
that's true.
demons that they're fighting now, it's a different kind of devil you
Yes.
fight back then. And so with the advent of the internet and the exposure and everything that is happening, there's a lot of struggle that they're dealing with too. And so we have to meet them. It is so sad when they go to a church and you don't see much young people. It's just persons of a certain age that are just there for a while, and then it makes you wonder what is going to happen in the next few years. And so, even for leaders, and we thank God for our fathers, because trust me, they deal with a different level of things. They had to deal with, especially in Canada and different countries, when they came in, they have to deal with the racism. They have to deal with, oh, you're black, you're not allowed to do this. You know, they have to deal with trying to set up an established church and the different battles they fight with members of parliament in community, with the cities, with bylaws, they dealt with it just to establish things that make it easier for us. But it's for us, and we have to understand that one plant, one water, and God will give the increase. And so you must understand your position. Where am I in this? That I am the planter. And so I'm the one who had to till the ground and plant. But I'm not the one that is really going to continue to reap the harvest and grow it. But the generation coming after will have to do that and prepare it for the next generation and the next generation. But it's for us to be allowed and make it okay that you will stand on your father's shoulder and see greater than him. If you are a spiritual father, those who are coming after you must be greater, must be better than what you are, must be more exposed to things that you didn't get to do. And of course, as a father, that's what you would want to see for your children. And so that's why we're having this discussion, not to bash leader, but to say we got to be open. And you can see it because the leaders who are open to the shift and the change, you realize that they are persons are going, their church are packed with young people, their church are packed with thought leaders. Sit and observe their board. As Bishop said, they're older ones who understand the rules and bylaws of board and governance. And then there's a middle age to keep things in the balance. And then the young ones who are coming with that strategic mindset, that strategic thinking to say, this is how we are able to do. Because a lot of what we have in the workforce, you are able to bridge a gap by bringing a lot of these strategies in the church. My former assistant pastors used to say, he was here with us last year, that the world has taken the strategies of the church and has built business and make millions. And the church strategies that we're not using these strategies that was truly given to the church, and how we can grow and how we can continue to evolve. Pastor Rod, welcome. But I want to bring Bishop in on something because I want to create a balance. Bishop, we talk about the inability of leaders to bring in the next generation and be able to hear them and so forth. But I also believe, and I think we've had the conversation before, I also believe, and we talk about that fear element. Um, I know for the fathers, they believe that there are some things that they'll have to safeguard and some things that they have to look us. Bishop, walk us through maybe some of these things. You know, as a pastor, and you're at the helm, you see a lot more than we see. You heard a lot more than we will hear. Talk me through, you know, a lot of things that happen at the top, and decisions and consideration that have in their mind as they're trying to structure and restructure these things.
Thank you for that question. But before I answer, one of the things that is very important that these young people are asking for is teaching.
Mm,
Right, right. Teaching is the key. It's good that you can go and you can preach um, on a note, and they will jump with you and shout with you and so on. By the end of the day, what this generation needs is teaching. Teaching is important. So teach why you do something. I remember years ago, I grew up in a church that tell you that there's only one cup. The Bible said the cup and come on to Lord's Supper. So there was 300 people come to Lord's Supper, and everybody was drinking from the same cup. They just wipe it when one somebody drink a drink, and it's the cup, the cup. Some young people don't show up for the obvious reasons, right? And then those who take the teaching, okay, the cup, the Bible said the cup, not what in the cup, just the cup, right? And just come and say, okay, this time we're going to use cups, and there was no teaching, and it caused some ruption in. on the outside, not on the, so it's not the bishop don't know what's going on, what people are talking about. He just says the cops, maybe somebody talked to him, but there should be a teaching done to say that, we are moving from just cup because I recognize the cup is not the emphasis, is what's in the cup or something. There
Mm-hmm.
should be some teaching done, right? Instead of just make one big switch like that. Okay. When I just started to pass, and we said we're going to do this, do this. One of the things that some of the persons said to me, well, if you do this and if you do that, that church ain't going to fellowship with you. For that church, it's coming from a certain standard and certain stuff like that, so they ain't going to fellowship with you. So at the beginning, I said, okay, we got to still hold on to this, to that, to that. But I recognize what I was doing is let other people pastor my church. Listen,
All
my
right
church, you know
now.
what I mean. Other people
Yes,
were
sir. Yes.
pastoring my church. They were
Yes.
not my conviction. I couldn't back up some of the stuff with scriptures. Okay, right? And so on. And so that was where that's the issue. So we were pastoring based on traditions, right?
Mm.
The second thing is because we wanted to continue to please mother
You,
and continue to please the elderly, and so therefore, instead of trying to strike a balance, we just said, okay, we're going to continue in this. Are we trying to please the person that helped you to start,
all
right?
right now.
And those that are with you from the beginning who hold on to certain things because you want their support, you want their offering, and the young people ain't working yet, they don't, can't bring it out of stuff, they are still in school, and so you don't want it to let us just speak the truth. We don't want it to lose so and so because their ties is so and so and so and so, right? And so therefore it creates a problem, right?
Mm.
And so when we don't have the answer, instead of when the question are being asked, we kind of use, you know some people call it the bully pen, the bully, and say, why you so disobedient, why you asking questions, you're rebellious and stuff like that,
Yes.
instead of basically answering the question that you have been asked. So it is a fear, right? It is a fear of not losing the elderly, right? But definitely we can strike a balance. The songs that we used to sing when I was growing up from the Pentecostal hymn, these young people don't sing those songs, right? And so on. And sometimes we make a big issue out of it, like it's the gospel, because we don't go from the hymn book anymore, right? And so on. So we then have to be very careful, Regina. Otherwise, we're going to lose, the young people, right? So, as I always said, try and strike a balance, right? Every now and then you go to you sing a song from the hymnal, while you still deal with the new songs, the Morris and the Williams and whosoever. I go, I have a van that I really drive. My son drive it, and I'm driving. He was driving with me, and all this guy listen to is Kirk Franklin, and I'm like, Kirk. But that's not me, okay? And so on. But that's just the young generation music. That's their music, right? So I can't walk in there and say, no, no, perfectly because of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, right? Right? So I just sit down and enjoy the music and go where I'm going and come back. Okay, right? But we just got to we sometimes as leaders we refuse to train to change diet. We're only used to chicken, so we won't try turkey. right? We won't try nothing else. When you go to the restaurant, all I want is chicken and it must be well done. Okay. We don't want to try. We don't care what they have on the menu. We don't even look at the menu. Just give me chicken. And sometimes the church is like that. It doesn't matter what is proposed. This is what you're getting. This is our diet. And so what we do sometimes is that we you know, we refuse to hear what God is saying. We refuse to hear what God is saying.
And Key just have a little bit disconnection there, but I guess he will be back with us shortly. In the meantime, let us take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay right here with us on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We'll be back. Get ready to be inspired. Introducing a brand new show on HGG Radio, The Journeys and the Lessons Podcast, with your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, every second and fourth Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Real stories, real growth, real transformation, because every journey has a story and every story holds a lesson. Unlock, unfiltered, your journey, your lessons. Catch a premiere only on HGG Radio. Your story begins here.
Hello, 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 listeners. This is Pastor Liston England inviting you to come and let's dive into the truth. Join me every Sunday at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Truth Be Told, the podcast on HGG Radio, where we're taking you to higher ground. We'll be taking a look at biblical eschatology, exploring the promise of the rapture and what it means for you. Tune in to gain a deeper understanding of where we are in world history and how close we'll be to the coming of Jesus Christ. Don't you miss it. Sundays at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on HGG Radio.
At the midnight, at the Get ready for the revolution. A revolution is coming to the Hope of Glory Morning Show. 1, 2, 3, Get ready for the pulsating, electrifying, inspiring, and motivating 2 hours of music, word, health, and wealth. Mondays to Fridays from 6 to 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right here on HGG Radio. Join me, your host, Rashane Douglas, the Christ in me, the Hope of Glory. That's the new time for the Hope of Glory Morning Show. Mondays to Fridays from 6 to 8 a.m. right here on HGG Radio. Visit our website, hggradio.ca, or download the HGG Radio mobile app. See you soon. Do you want a revolution? I say, do you want a revolution?
Thank you for staying with us right here on HGG Radio. Of course, this is the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We're having the powerful conversation. We're talking about the decline of the next generation's involvement in the church. And of course, Bishop was making his take right there. Just before a commercial break, we'll bring him right back in to wrap that thought with us. Bishop, come on back in, sir.
Yes, I was just saying, learn to eat something else. I mean, you're always eating chicken, no matter where they take you. All you want is chicken. Learn to eat something else. This generation have something to say. You might not. Nobody have a bulletproof idea, but you can take it and squeak it and so on. One thing I would say here, and I'm close on this point, is that I've learned that if you want to bring people in your vision, right? Because we thought as leaders that we are. It's wonderful when somebody said, "Well, this is pastor vision. This is pastor vision." If your church keep on saying this is pastor vision, you fail. You fail. You fail. 'Cause all they see, this is pastor vision. When a member can look at the church and say, "This is our vision," that's when you know you're reaching somewhere, right? And so what you need to do then is to bring people in, share your vision, and ask them, "Help me to make this better." Once they help you to make it better, then it becomes their vision and not just your vision, right? So they would add and they would take away. And so that's what I meant when I talk about bring young people into the committees and when you're going to do stuff and the planning of this and plan, bring a few of them in. Okay, right? When you bring them in, it becomes their vision also. And they will work towards enhancing the church. And nobody can convince young people like young people. Because some of them young people see you as the pastor as their father who used to hold them down or won't listen to them. But when you bring other young people in, they will convince other young people to be part of the vision. And they are your best minister. God bless you. You're muted.
Thank you so much for that, Bishop. Pastor Rod, I'm going to bring in the conversation because just to piggyback on what Bishop is saying, Pastor Rod, what role then should pastors and church leader play in mentoring the next generation?
Wow, that's a powerful question. And good morning, everybody. God bless you, and greetings to you, Doc, and to my new friend Tamika. God bless you, ma'am. And of course to Bishop Hopeton Morris. God bless you, sir. Always wise words. What role? I believe the role of young people is energizing the other dynamics in the church. They have the energy, they have the vitality. Anytime anytime someone goes up there and says, "I used to," it's they're hearkening to their youth, when they were totally sold out, when they were brand new. They could still feel the richness and the realness of an encounter with Jesus. And I want to preface this by saying that when we engage young people, in not only in the planning process, like our dear bishop has uh, has cautioned us and encouraged us to do, but when we start to mentor them on a one-on-one basis, that's why I truly believe, I tell all my seniors, your ministry is not done. Your ministry is not over. You may feel irrelevant because there are 30 somethings, 40 somethings, taking over, and I can't do as much as I can. But there is nothing to replace the anointing that God has placed on your life. And God has put you through everything, the experiences and the beauty of your ashes. Amen. He has formed you, and he has blessed you to endure. And when you pour all of that into the next generation, the thing that you could not do, the arms that are failing you now, can be lifted up by the next generation. And it's so true that if they cannot see or find your vision, um, then they will do someone else's vision. Simple. They will go with someone else's explanation. They will, and just like how we were saying, last week, that some of them have silently quit on us. The bodies are still in the church, but they have decided that they are only biding their time until they can walk on their own, or get an apartment, or move away to school, or or get that job that gives them the autonomy to do what they want, and they're looking over at, if they are so inclined, they're looking over at churches with the awesome worship team and the lights and the production, because there is a need for them not only to be in, um, to be I put it like this. I don't want to step on any toes, but young people are more inclined to have an appetizer as their main entree.
Ooh.
And that's just you watch it, right? Because an appetizer is meant to draw you in, right? They have great bread at the Olive Garden. They have really good aperitifs at certain at restaurants. It's here to draw you in, to whet your appetite, and that's and of course that is the drive of young people. They get pulled in by the lights and the production and the the lack of rules, and the rip beams and the, and the smoke and the haze, and that's amazing, and it has drawn a lot of folks. What certain folks now understand, that you can't live off of appetizers. You need a main course that will keep you during the week and practice. The Apostolic Church, the Pentecostal Church, the Black Church is really good at the main course, but they're not good at drawing and helping people to stay at the table.
Whoa.
Amen. So the beauty of it is when you have experienced the full course.
Yes, sir.
When you have experienced the full course, you're gonna stand in the place and you're gonna be like, my God, if I had just stopped at the appetizer, I never would have gotten what my fathers were laying down. When I left my father's house, uh, we became friends after,
Mm,
right? Because when I was under his rule, there was a role that needed to be played by both of us. I had to be the son, and he had to be the father. But when I now began to father my own children, we could connect. And we have to, in order for us to get this generation in line with what God is doing in this present time, these last and closing days, we have to let them know that listen, we are not your enemies. The leadership of the church, the pastors and the mothers and fathers of Zion, we're not your enemies. In fact, we want to see you grow to a place where you take over and all we can do is kick up our feet. But we've got some work to do. We've got to inspire you. And I'm speaking to all the young people that can hear me. We've got to inspire you. And the worst thing that leadership can do is put out a forum. We just want to hear you. We want to hear what you say, and then when we hear what you say, we do nothing with it. So token listening is more destructive than simply not asking for their input or feedback at all. So
yeah.
we have got, and I have instructed some of my leaders. I say less, do more.
Yes.
If you say you're going to do this for the young people, listen, man, pick one point, drill down on it, double down on it, make it happen, throw every penny and dime you can at it in order for it to flourish and move forward. But if you're gonna say, oh, we're gonna do A, B, C, D for the young people, and not even A is accomplished at the end of the year, you have missed the mark, because they are watching you, how faithfully you are listening to them. And a true mentor is mentorship is a two-way street. So when I grow, you grow. But if I am off in the, my Bishop OG Simpson used to say, if you are a real leader, you look back and see how many people are following you.
Mm.
So every so often you have to look back and see where the stragglers are. How they're how have you failed in articulating the vision? Doc, you said it right. If you don't if they don't know what the vision is, you know, we're lost. So every chance I get, we talk about the every members meeting, we talk about the vision. What does it mean to you? How does our community engagement, which is huge for young people now, they want to give back to the community. This is the first generation that is asking you, begging you. We want to get out in the community and do something, and we're like, we're still. Oh no, it's Bible study every. we, but we need to capture the hearts of young people through
Yes, sir.
involvement and mentorship. Yes,
Yes, sir.
that's enough.
Powerful. Thank you so much for that, Rev. And as we talk about evening social settings and we talk about different ways, and just to top at what you said, that we can reach young people, we have a good way of serving the main course, but not the appetizer, not the way to pull them in. And we talk about even men group. We talk about different social setting that men's service are not to be a condensed form of Sunday morning. Similarly, youth services. I've seen now churches, youth group are now going skating. Youth group are now doing other social stuff outside of the four wall of the church. And while they're doing that, Bishop said young people are the greatest way to reach other young people. Because when they
Wow.
go to these skatings and these bowlings, and while they're bowling and skating, they're inviting other little groups of people who are doing that into their space and said, we are
Mm,
a church group and this is where we worship and this is where we do, and we'd love for you to come along. These are different activity we do as part of our church community. So these are different ways to reach a younger generation, rather than we go to youth service and every Friday we do sword in hand, or we have a condensed form of worship and the word. Somebody come and do a word about a smaller version that is needed, right? But we cannot do that every week. What we do is set aside different time that we can say, this time we're going to have a worship experience and the youth group is putting it on. That month we're doing a condensed stuff we want to see in the church, in the youth group, who is stepping up to ministering in terms of bringing the word, and who are a good singer. So we use youth group as well as a form that, but we have to flip how we do it. It can't be every week and every day. We have to do stuff outside of the four wall that we get to enjoy our other youth and get to know them outside of just in the building of church, and that way we get to evangelize as well and spread our wings to reach other young people. So there are some things that we can look at, that of course in the generation we're coming up, it's just one way and this is what it is every week, and we find that numbers dwindle because after a while it's repetitive work, it get bored. If you're at your job and it's repeating stuff, it's nothing new come your way, after a while it no longer stretch the mind to think, and you realize
right.
that it's no longer appeasing and no longer working. Lady Tamiki, I'm going to bring you in. I don't know where the time is going. We have 20 minutes in the discussion, but I'm going to bring you in because I want to, Pastor Rod touch on the generation, and passing down. And it's something potent as we're leading. Look behind us, how much persons are following us. As a mentor, Tamika, I'm bringing you in on this discussion. How can us in our space, older, we're still we're not old, we're still young people, but as we're going, how can this generation in the church really effectively pass down the wisdom and the faith to younger believers? So even us now, in our where we are, how can we now effectively pass this down to the younger generation as a way to keep them in? Because we're talking about the decline and we're seeing the numbers dwindle and we're seeing them not coming in church, and we're seeing they're even here. Pastor Rod said their body is here but their mind is not there. How can we pass down the little wisdom we have garnered down to the next generation that will help strengthen their faith? I'll bring you in. Yeah, I think I lose her there. I think she is having some technical difficulty on that side. But Bishop, talk to it for me, Bishop, in terms of how we can mentor that next generation. You know, tap
Um,
into.
okay. I went to a church one time, and it was a conference. And after the conference, the young people wanted to put on this mm, arts thing. I don't know. I remember what they call it, for club stuff like. And when I heard it, I'm like, uh, Pastor can't allow something like this to happen, because they
Mhm.
completely rearranged the seating in the church,
Oh,
and they decided that we want the light dim. I'm like, this is the world. This is club setting. They're bringing into this church. I mean, I'm like, no, 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 no. This cannot work in the church. I was going to leave, and I say, no, let me stay and see what they're going to do.
yes.
Right. And so the place was dark. And but I tell you, and they have all different young people comes in, and they will do a poem that they have written themselves. Some sing, and different arts. Some do a skit, and so on. And the power of God and the presence of God was so rich in that place. When they finish, they pray for each other, the other young people. I'm like, huh? I was taken aback.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
taken aback because at the first I'm like, no, you don't turn off light in church. I mean, we see that video with um that pastor, lady pastor there. So turn on the light. We need to see what all you are doing, right?
Yeah.
But the, the thing is, I think that there's a disconnect where the elderly people, some of the pastors think that the young people want to destroy the church. And
Mm.
that is the problem. It's the
That
thinking,
is
it's
the
the
problem.
mind. And
Yes.
they don't want to destroy the church. They don't want it to change the doctrine. Because they're the one who is even deeper now in the doctrine than a lot of us, because they have learned and they have gone deep down. Many of them have gone to university and study and so on, and so they can teach this doctrine even better than some of us can, and they are very deep in it, right? So if we can just get out of our mind that we're on the same team, right? If the team is the kingdom of God, and it's
Yes.
just that they wanted to do it differently. The message remained the same, but they just wanted to do it
Different.
differently. And if we can get that in our head and recognize that we're on the same team and find a way to get to the end line and to get where we wanted to go together, the church will grow. Just watch it for a while. Don't just as it come up, just eat it. Bam. No, no, no. Okay. So um what do you want to accomplish by this? How you going to do it, right? And so on. And just watch it. Watch how they do it. Then afterwards, you can bring in and said, okay, this was very good, but I think next time we do it A, B, C. Instead, just
Hmm.
eat it from the beginning. And one of the worst thing that you can do is to take what the young people do, take it to the pulpit on a Sunday,
And weaponize it.
weaponize it, and preach against it. You kill that
Mm.
person for life. You kill them. They will never give you another suggestion. They will
Mm.
never do anything else. And you damage their enthusiasm. And even if
Mm.
they go somewhere they don't want to do because they're afraid of getting hurt. But
Wow.
instead of take them in, talk to them, and said, you did this, but let's do it this way next time. That. They love you and respect you for that, and they will continue to work. But just take a look at it. That's all I'm saying. Just take a look what they wanted to do. Just listen to what they're saying,
Yes.
right? And see what they will do. It might just surprise you, like
Hmm.
it did me. Like it
Wow.
did me. God bless you, sir.
So powerful. That is so powerful, Bishop. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Bishop. He said, the setting of it, because if for those who understand the arts and a lot of these different speeches that they'll give and snap fingers and so forth, that is the setting. And I think what the young people wanted to do is to bring that same set, but we're going to do it our way. We're going to be using Christian and gospel speeches. We're going to set it just the same for that particular thing. So instead of young people attracted to go out to these clubs and secular events that do it, we're going to, because there's a lot of persons who are into the arts in church, we're going to set that and do it in our way. And that was powerful. There's one thing I saw Bethel did for their general convocation, and I really like it. That place, Bishop, was packed Sunday night to capacity. And I learned, and I've been going to convocation, and maybe I leave right after that. I didn't even go to the back. Is that they do like an after convocation party for the young people, and there's a huge tent set up in the parking lot. There's a Christian DJ, and he's playing gospel music, and the young people are fellowshipping. They're enjoying themselves.
You would
They're
not
just,
believe you.
oh my Lord, Pastor Rod, you were there. They are rocking to some of the best and biggest gospel hits. And that, when I say pack, young people from all different churches all over, they're not missing Sunday night. Because when are finished, and I remember Bishop Thompson telling some of the parents, just allow them even 30 minutes. I know church is over, but just wait even 30 minutes. You talk to some people in your age and just let them go. Let them go and fellowship with other young people. Let them meet. Let them see other people from different churches, because that's their opportunity. Your church sister from some other church come in from another province, from another state. It's not their time to just enjoy themselves. And it work. And it's a fellowship for young people because they enjoy convocation, and that's like our send off. That's where we do our goodbyes. We do enjoy. And when I saw it, I said, "Wow!" So what we're saying, nothing is wrong, but we're doing it another way, so that they see that church is not just preaching and teaching and we shouting at you, but there's great fellowship, and there's great, you can dance to your gospel music and enjoy yourself. They're not gyrating. No, they're enjoying themselves, and still it's the presence of the Lord. And so this is also, just another way, as Bishop said, that we can look at it and to involve them. I'm sure a young person may have come up with the idea and given it to Bishop years ago, and they realized it worked, and they just kept it going. And every year, I think it's just bigger and bigger because more young people have reached that age and they're learning about it, and they can't wait to be a part of it. I drop off my nieces, my close friend children. I call them my nieces. I took them to church tonight, and they're saying, "Uncle, just wait. We're gonna go to the after party." I didn't even see them after convocation. I took them there, and they're like, "You'll find us down here after church." And we just, stuck it out with them and let them enjoy themselves. And so we're saying, as Bishop said, we have to look at it. We have to look at it again. I just wanted to bring in Lady Tamika. It seems she's just having some technical difficulty. But I'm going to go to our final thoughts as we look to wrap it up, because we're talking about we want to look at this digital age. Pastor Rad, I'll give you about 2 minutes on it, and then with Bishop, and hopefully we'll bring Lady Tamika back in. We're looking at the digital age, and how do we see technology? Because, Pastor Rad, mind you, a few years ago, sorry, before technology has advanced, pastors and bishop used to beat up on televangelists, or it's just me who remember. They used to beat up on people who have broadcasts and say, they're
Come
scammers,
on.
and they're bringing the service on TV, and they're making a joke of, and they used to whip it. Now, in the advent of technology, we are live streaming our services, because sometimes people miss church or work, whatever, and I want to see back what happened at the church I go to, at my church. So
Hmm.
we want to
Hmm.
be a part of it. There are people who cannot make it out to a church. They're in different places, they're in remote, and this is a church they log into. They're members who may be at your church, bishop, and they have to move, but they still tap into service to see what happened, because they want to know. I want to see what happened. I want to call bishop to say, "Bishop, this was a great service." And they still want to be able to tap into their church. And years ago, this was weaponized. live stream, live broadcast was weaponized, and these churches were paying thousands of dollars to bring the service live. Now we have YouTube and it's free. Once we have internet access and we're able to broadcast the message. I was preaching for a church in Florida, and this is not a big church, a smaller church, but when you look at the live stream, 23,000 people, 23,
Whew.
33,000 people, a smaller church. I was preaching there, and one lady said, I drove 2 hours to get here because my mom, who watches service in Curacao, said I need to find this church." And she said, "I looked it up. It was 2 hours, and I came, and she want to take pictures and call her mom, I'm here, and what a time." She said, "I'm coming back." A lady said, "I watched this service from the US Virgin Island, and I made the plan to just book a hotel, fly in for the weekend so I can be at the service. Nothing special is keeping. It's just Sunday morning. I can be here Sunday morning, Sunday night, and catch my plane back to the US Virgin Island on Monday." The church is making an impact in the social media space. One lady moved from Texas. She came for convention, love it, and pack her bags. She's a nurse. She said, "I'll get a job." Pack her bag and move down south just to be at the church because of the impact and the pulling power where people find the church from. Social media, the pastor just tell the church, run, just told the young people to run with it. And he never even know the church is on TikTok. He's like, "What is TikTok?" "Oh, sir, we find your church on TikTok." "What's TikTok?" Because the young people who in charge of the media, they just take it and they run with it. And they're putting the church on Instagram and on TikTok. They're making video clips in their home, songs that sing at the church. They're moving to it and rocking and having the young people doing different videos, and they're posting it on their space and said, "This is the church we go to. This is the," and people are coming because all these videos and stuff from the young people. What is happening at this church that they want to go to that church? They are prominent guys who are singers in secular brought their friends there to be baptized, calling the pastor, "This is so and so. This is this celebrity. We want to come down there to be baptized." We see your church and we love it. And I'm telling you, apostolic to the core. Holy Ghost, people just burst away. And you would think you want to change all of that to conform it. Let us not so. No, people are looking for authenticity. They're looking for church with power. And I'm saying we have to keep it like it is. We'll run it. Lady Tamika, we wanted to bring you in the advent of social media. And how do you think we can use the social media tool to reach young people and pull them to the faith?
Powerful, powerful discussions. I like where we are going right now because as we have been discussing, I'm thinking that there's nothing new under the sun. The more things change, the more things remain. And yes, social media is new, but social media is just taking it to the next level. I'm sure the Apostle Paul and Peter, they did not have what the modern day church has now in terms of these beautiful buildings. The message remains the same, but
Yes.
the method has to evolve, right? And this is we just want to assure the elderly generation and just take them just logically. The Apostle Peter and Paul, they were walking around in togas or in slippers. They were preaching the gospel. They didn't have churches. The early saints were in caves. They were in each other's house. That was it. But then the church would have evolved to the stage now where they're meeting in a building, a structure, and they're worshiping God, they're doing their evangelism, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm sure at that point there would have been some concern. Oh, we're gonna be adopting the Roman and the Roman way of building structures now, and all these buildings with stained glass and all
Stained
of that,
glasses, yes.
right? But the church went there. The gospel people did get saved in there. They receive the Holy Ghost, they're baptized, all of that. And we move from that stage now. I'm sure Paul didn't have a mic or public address system. They were using their voices. But we started to adopt the mic and all of that. We're preaching and all of that. Then the church, AC, and we're going, and yeah, the way we're delivering is evolving, it's changing, but the message is the same. Now we get to the
Mhm.
stage now where videos. I know Bethel, for example, South Camp Road. They have been doing. I think they're one of the first churches that started to do. like recording.
Yeah, channel. Yeah,
They had a
channel.
channel, right? It
Single
wasn't
TV.
YouTube yet, but they're
No,
someone
no
able
TV.
to record the services and broadcast it, right? They were even on radio. There's a voice of holiness. They're
Yes,
using radio and all of that to going through the airwaves, trying to control the message on the airwaves, sending it out across Jamaica and across the world. Now we're moving now with advancement in technology. We're now the digital age, social media. Some elderly people are so afraid of the internet. Some people don't even know how to use a phone. They say it's a demon, maybe, or they rebuke it. Right? I remember on TV was a demon, right? But we have to.
yes.
I mean, I remember I think he was Bethel born again. Rest his soul, late Bishop Allison. He had
Alice.
a program on the TV. He was preaching the gospel to Jamaica and to the world, right? So no one social media. The younger generation, especially the Gen Zs that came after were in the digital age. Now they're born, they're swiping with finger. This is their way. So the church now we have to now move with the age. Yes, there's going to be that the little struggle. I'm sure at each stage of transformation and evolution of how we are delivering the message, there was a group, that was afraid and resistant, right? But the younger set now, if you want to find them, and as I said before, if you want to find the young people, you have to go to where they are, which is on the social media. They're online, right? So the church now has to be deliberate in terms of we have to be very intentional and strategic in our engagement with the young people. We need to have a special program for them. 3 points. One, their communication strategy. We have to learn their language. We have to do research. Now we have to read. Yes, I'm sure we are from the book generation. These things are written down in the book. If you don't want to go online, print it out. Read how they speak. There's a language. King James versions versus not NIV. I learned from my experience that yes, in Jamaica, the King James version is okay. It retains that awe and that piety and all of that. But when you go into other countries now, in other territories where we're dealing with people in Asia or Europe or so, where they don't even know what is a Bible or see one yet. You have to change the language. You have to meet them where they are. Paul said, I became all things to all to win some. We have to know more. We're not losing the message, we're not compromising the standards of holiness, but we're now trying to learn their communication style, their modality, the platforms that they're using. It doesn't have to be in the church theater style, sit down in the service to we can have fireside chats, concerts, inspirations, use online, avatar or different things that they're using online. These frontier technology and other tools because they know it. They know it, and that is where the world is going. We have to catch up, or else we're going to be left behind. We're going to become fossils or fossil fuel, but we have to be relevant. So we have to learn their communication style and know where to find them. If they're not in the building, go to where they are, which is online. So the YouTube channels, as Dr. Brian was mentioning, these are what we'll use to reach them. Right. The second thing I wanted to say here as we talk about social media is that inclusive, consultative type of leadership where there's mutual learning. We're learning from them. They know the technology, they know the tools of the time, the issues of the time. So we have to communicate with them, don't isolate them or be afraid of them. Sometimes the questions are good. They will allow us to go and do some research. It's going to flag certain issues, things that are creeping into the church to challenge the church. And when they raise it, it's good to go and do the research, learn from them, and the elders has a role. We have a role to play in terms of guiding them, allowing them to explore the technology and all that, but within a safe parameter, right? Because wisdom is a
The
principle,
principal thing. Yeah, that's
right?
right.
Wisdom is the wisdom that comes from experience. They don't know. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just how it's unraveling, right? So they still need the wisdom of the elders to allow them to navigate within the modern time, but with the safe parameters of the word of God and how we apply the word of God, right? That is how you're gonna win them. Once they trust you, I think someone else on the panel mentioned the need to communicate. Once you build that trust with them, by answering their questions honestly. Don't try and quote it up in scriptures or misapply scriptures or you're reaching and all of that, right? You use the social media to communicate the truth to them. You online meetings, online private engagement with them. And the third thing I want to say in terms of as we're discussing the social media and the importance of social media is how we're gonna demonstrate as the older generation that we are trying. Once they see, someone mentioned action more than words. Once they see that we are trying to understand them, we're using their tools, we're using the social media platform that is helping to build that trust. They will open up to the older set. And once you win their trust, once they buy into your vision, once they watch your actions, that it's consistent with what you're saying, because that is a big part of why there's a decline.
Hmm.
Integrity issues. What you're saying and what you're doing, two different things.
My
You
God, they
give a
must align.
commitment, you give a commitment, and then you promise this and say this is gonna happen, and then something else happens. These are some of the things that need, as we're seeking to use social media and all of that, trying to use their tools to communicate and connect with them. We need to build anchor these into key values and elements of trust and integrity and consistency. Building trust again. What you say is what you're doing, and all of that. No hiding. I find that the more we hide and cover, is it's gonna breed distrust and curiosity. They're not gonna trust. They're gonna go. They use the very same social media to go and investigate. And I'm telling, and I must say this: there's always going to be a voice, a dissenting voice, somewhere out there in cyberspace that is going to be saying something that is going to be in line with their paranoia or their curiosity to draw them in. There's always going to be a voice that is going to be reiterating their rhetoric or their belief, whether it's accurate or not. So we use the social media tools, the digital tools, strategically, wisely. Learn the issues. It's more than just the social media and the platform. It's learning and understanding their issues. I'll close by sharing an example of the seriousness of what I'm saying. I remember one leader they visited a convocation in another country and was sitting on a panel. And it was on that panel that he's learning about various sexual orientation, zoosexual, transsexual. I came up knowing only about homosexual or people who are bisexual. I didn't know about transsexual, zoosexual. I didn't know about all of that at all. And the leader did not know. He sat there. He was in shock. So we need to learn before we go out there and use the social media and all of that. Yes, we need to understand the issues as well. Because once we understand the issues, we'll be better able to guide them. We don't want social media now to be send the young people out there to use social media to convey inaccurate information or information that is misaligned with scriptures. So I just wanted to share those three points as we discussed the usefulness of social media. Very powerful, for good, but very risky as well in terms of the information. If we don't have grounded young people using this platform to convey messages, we might send the wrong message and create a problem that is worse than what we start with, right? So I just wanted to throw that into the discussion for further thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, dear Tamika. I think you wrap it up so well, package it well, so we can move to the close. Thank you so much. As we conclude today's discussion on the decline of the next generation's involvement in the church, one thing is clear. This is not a hopeless situation, but rather a wake up call. The youth are not the church of tomorrow, they are the church of today. If we fail to engage them, disciple them, and give them the space to grow, we risk losing not just numbers, but a very large legacy of the faith we are called to pass on. The challenge before us is to listen, to mentor, and to create an environment, yes, that authentically, with authenticity, rather, discipleship and purpose, we are at the heart of everything that we do. If we can do that, the next generation will not just return, they will rise up as leaders, innovators, and kingdom builders. So I want to thank Sister Tamika Anderson for taking the time to be with us today on the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. To our listeners, let's continue to have the conversation. Beyond the airwaves, let's commit ourselves to building a church where every generation feels seen, valued, and empowered to walk boldly in Christ. Until next time, we are asking you to keep it locked on HGG Radio. And on behalf of the entire production crew, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. You can download our application anywhere you download the app from. You can also follow us at hgg.ca. Find us there, hggradio.ca. Follow us on Facebook at Higher Ground Gospel Radio. Yes, you can find us there, and you can also find us on YouTube. Find me, Dr. Links, on YouTube. You can follow us on our program on this Tuesday. Very important. I'm sitting down for part 2 of a powerful discussion with Evangelist Marvia Providence. We did part one last Tuesday. On this Tuesday coming at 8 p.m. on Higher Ground Gospel Radio on YouTube, and also at Dr. Links on YouTube. I'm sitting down with Evangelist Marvia Providence, talking about our high, our lows, our in between. Trust me, she's clear and candid and raw like never before. And trust me, it is going to be a blessing. So join me there on Tuesday at 8 p.m. for this powerful discussion. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Until next time, as always, if you enjoyed the discussion, subscribe, share, like, review, send it to a friend, and tell a friend about this program. Remember that empowerment is not about what you gain, but what you give to help others grow. Until next time, keep building, being strong, keep holding the faith. All right? And remember, the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast, we're not just talk. We're informative. See you next time. Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you again, Tamika. Thank you, Pastor Rod. Bishop, God bless you, sir. See you soon. Get ready for the ultimate journey of transformation and growth. Welcome to Season 2 of the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lincoln Bryan, alongside a dynamic team of co-hosts, Pastor Clive Atkinson, Bishop Hopeton Morris, and Elder Edmund Muir. Together, we'll dive into the toughest topics, share inspiring stories, and provide practical advice to help you become the best version of yourself. From overcoming obstacles to achieving greatness, the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast is your ultimate source of motivation, inspiration, and empowerment. So gear up and join the movement. Tune in to Season 2 of the Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. This and every Saturday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on HGG Radio. The Iron Man Empowerment Podcast. We're not just talk, we're informative.